Hello, everyone. So excited to see you again for day 2 of our mini series about shame and guilt. So, on the same topic here. Yesterday, we talked more about the meaning of guilt and shame and what it looks like, what it feels like when we experience. If you missed that episode yesterday, please give it a watch on IGTV, and that's going to be on definitely gospel-centered page. So today, our topic related to guilt and shame is social media. How does social media relate to the feelings of guilt and shame we experience? So, one reason that I think social media can become problematic is oftentimes people experience any kind of negative emotion and don't want to feel it, right? They need a quick escape from real life, from whatever it is they're experiencing. And people don't want to feel bad, right? No one does. No one likes those feelings. So it's so easy to shift our focus to something else, anything else. And social media has made that so easy to do. I think that social media oftentimes, helps us to focus on something else, anything else. Maybe it's another person's life, what they're going through. This is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so many different platforms that kind of force us to leave our own reality when you think about it. It's a replacement with another person's reality or their life or what they share. And it's interesting because all these multiple platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, people kind of confuse the meaning of these platforms, right? It was created to inform. It was created to connect us all together or, just give us news of what's going on in the world. And that can be so good. But I do want to proceed with caution here because it really can be a dangerous place to be. One reason why that can be dangerous is, again, the goal was to help people stay connected, all the social media accounts. But this connectivity is on a very surface level. It doesn't lend itself to deep conversations often. For example, when you see a picture on any of these platforms or a video, it's so easy to click that like button, right? To show you like it. Or maybe you leave a brief comment, something down below. But a real opportunity to start a deep conversation with the other person doesn't happen often. Yesterday, we talked about guilt and shame. And guilt and shame oftentimes forces us into isolation. It's so easy to become isolated when using social media. You have your phone and you're just scrolling. You don't have real deep conversation with anyone. And sometimes if you look at a crowded room with many people, you're going to see that so many of those individuals are going to be on their phone. Like in real life, they're just scrolling. They're not, how do I put it? They're not present. They're pulled in to this escape from their reality. And guilt feels, it says things like, I feel bad I hit my brother, or I feel bad about the money I just spent. I spent too much. Or maybe you feel bad about something that you ate and you're like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have had that ice cream. Shame tells us that we're not good enough. It says we're not worthy. These two examples of guilt and shame force us into more isolation. It drives us to more isolation. And the antidote for that is being in relationships. If you look at even creation, He created us to be in relationships with Himself and with other people. You look in Genesis 1, and it shows us that we were created to have that intimate relationship with God the Father. And then in Genesis chapter 2, God said it was not good for man to be alone. He didn't want man, humankind, to be alone. So he created a woman for the man so that they could be in fellowship together, right? They would not be alone. For a real relationship to happen, it means deep and intimate conversations and sharing of real life need to happen. Social media doesn't provide that, at least not often. If we want to be free from these feelings of guilt and shame, we have got to stop running away, running to social media, picking up our device and scrolling. We have to stop putting our real life aside and think that's an escape that's healthy. It's easy to become distracted, right? So easy. And we need to focus our attention on God instead of other things. We need to focus our attention on our relationships with other people. And I know COVID has made this so difficult in being in relationships. But there's so many different video platforms that can be used to stay connected. I know if me, just on a normal day, if one or both of my kids are having an awful day, I have an awful day. And it's so easy for me to pick up my phone and start scrolling because I don't want to deal with their behavior. I don't want to be around it. So social media in that moment is my escape. But it's a missed opportunity for me to sit down with my child, to engage with them, to ask them what's going on, to ask them how are you feeling, to try to understand where they're coming from and to work with them through it. And it's interesting, the first negative emotion we see in the entire Bible is shame. It's shame. If you look in Genesis, it shows us that Adam and Eve in the very beginning were both created, and it says they were both naked. And it specifically says they were naked and not ashamed. It's very clear. So then we see them choosing to disobey and eat the fruit of the tree, and they became naked, right? Well, they were always naked, but now they're naked and ashamed. They experienced shame. And what was their first response? They ran. They isolated themselves from the Lord because they felt this sense of shame. God, we see his response being pursuing Adam and Eve. You hear him say, "Why are you hiding? Where are you?" So we still see the same character of God in Jesus Christ. He still pursues us. He pursues us even during our shame that we feel now. And he always pursues us. If the enemy is trying to tell you you're not good enough, if he's using shame to say so, or any other negative feelings you have with shame, you can retort back and say, hey, that's not true. In Jesus Christ, I am free. He created me. I am his, and he knows everything about me, and he's already forgiven me. He even knows the number of hairs on my head. And we see in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and see, the new has come. We have the ability to have this intimate relationship with God the Father anytime, anywhere. He's always available. So that's it for today. I really hope this encourages you guys. And I do just, as a last statement, not all social media is bad. I hope that's not what you're hearing. I just think it's so important to know there are positives and negatives, right? There's a side to each for social media, and we need to identify that. But love you guys, And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of this guilt and shame mini-series. Bye, y'all.